Hey y'all, and welcome to a 10-minute Texans talk. Feels like we're doing these daily at this point, but it is free agency. There's a lot going on, contrary to what some people thought would be the case. I guess it's week 2. Those same people said week 1 would probably be a little light. The Texans have been putting in some work over the past 24 hours, so let's talk about it. So, order of operations here. Tytus Howard restructures. Oh, look, there's some money, $11 million free. What are we going to do with it? And then Cam Robinson signs. And so it would appear as though Tytus Howard restructured to bring in his competition. I don't see it that way. If both are going to play tackle, then I would say that Blake Fisher is likely to swing. There's a lot to unpack with that, but we'll get into it. And then the Texans extend Danielle Hunter. So pretty busy day, a lot to like about today. We'll go through it in order. So restructuring Tytus Howard makes a lot of sense. It was kind of next in the order of operations. Once Laremy Tunsil was traded, some are saying that would signify the Texans are interested in Tytus Howard long term. It varies significantly because his pay, as it said, even with the restructure, his contract is more of a tackle contract. And so him playing guard would be basically saying, well, we didn't pay a guard in free agency because we already got a lot of money sank into this one. And Tytus Howard has been good at guard, so it's not like, at least an improvement over the guards that the Texans have had in the past when he wasn't playing guard. I do generally tend to like Tytus Howard better at tackle. I'd be interested to see. They did express, it was rumored at least, that the Texans were going to start him at left tackle and that he was moving forward their left tackle. I mean, factors that would affect that, right? Like, as it stands right now, depending on who you are, you either view, Juice Scruggs or Jarrett Patterson as center. I'm personally a Jarrett Patterson guy. I liked what Juice Scruggs showed at guard, though. It's just there's a varied opinions within the organization. I think Nick Caserio is on record as saying that that Juice Scruggs is a center and does not play guard as well. But on the film, we saw that he was a market improvement over Shaq Mason. There was the controversy of starting Shaq Mason over him in the playoffs. But if Juice Scruggs is viewed as a starting guard, you've got Patterson at center, and you draft a starting caliber guard, or you like Laken Tomlinson. I don't know if a lot of the guys that were added early in free agency, Laken Tomlinson, the trade for Ed Ingram, Zach Thomas, are all competition guys, in my opinion, that aren't expected to start unless they show something. So with that in mind, if your interior O-line is sorted out as insert draft pick here, Tate Ratledge, Tyler Booker, Donovan Jack, whoever you pick up, Gray Zabel, and then you pair them up with Juice Scruggs on the other side and you feel comfortable with that, or even Jarrett Patterson, right? That's a possibility. He did primarily play guard in college, so maybe that's the way the Texans view it. And maybe they think Juice can find it. They spent a second-round pick on Juice, so those are all exhausted conversations. But either way, I like Tytus Howard better at tackle. I think that you're paying Cam Robinson too much for him not to play. Up to $14 million, it's base, $12 million, up to $14 million in value. That's not swing tackle money. I posted about it, I'll say it here. George Fant was being paid just like $3.4 million, almost a quarter of what the Texans just signed Cam Robinson to. So that is not swing tackle money. I think you'd feel comfortable paying that as swing tackle money if you think Blake Fisher is a better option than Cam Robinson. But at the end of the day, I don't know about side of the line. Like I said, the Texans, or at least it was rumored that the Texans like Tytus Howard at left tackle. So if they stick with him at left tackle, then that opens the door for a competition for right tackle. I think that's another competition move, honestly. And it's not surprising. The Texans, D'Amico has spoken to liking competition, and that's why a lot of those early signings at guard and guard / tackle and free agency didn't exactly make me think, oh, this is the guy they think is going to start. It's just a guy they think can compete for the spot. So, all in all, I don't know. I projected Tytus Howard at left guard based off of the Cam Robinson move, but maybe they view Blake Fisher as continuing to be the swing tackle wouldn't be bad for his development, and he did show serviceable as a starter. If someone went down, I would be comfortable with Blake Fisher being the swing tackle versus whatever the Texans decide to do in the end. But like I said, we need the context of the draft, and I think that'll shed a lot of light on the Texans' intentions. I still think, I hate to be Captain Obvious here, but obviously the Texans will be drafting a starting level guard. I don't know where this sentiment is coming from. Like, people see what the Texans have done before the Cam Robinson signing, but even without the context of it, or with the context of that signing or without it, people are like, well, a rookie starting? It's like, yeah, a rookie starting. That's turns out that's how you fix an offensive line when you have to gut it, is you have to draft a starting level player. So I would suspect the Texans are still going to take a guard high. If anything, the Cam Robinson signing removes any doubt that the Texans, I didn't think the Texans were ever really going to target a tackle in the first round, but the Cam Robinson signing, if anything, removes all doubt. Like, the only situation where it's like, okay, we have to draft a tackle still that high is if Tytus Howard shifts into left guard, because then you're viewing him as your starting guard. He can't be the swing tackle. I mean, he could, but you'd have to have confidence in the guy behind him to step in and play guard. If that was to happen, it creates complications. So at the end of the day, I think that the Texans have made it more likely that they'll take a receiver higher. I'm back on the first round wide receiver train. I expressed it before, nothing's really changed on this front, but the Texans' options realistically are trade out of the pick, draft an offensive lineman. Now I would say someone with guard experience at the very least, or draft a wide receiver. Those are anything outside of that would be an outlier, would be hard to believe, would be abnormal. The tight end, linebacker, whatever position you've seen the Texans mock to pick that's not those, would be the outlier. So, but yeah, so Tytus Howard taking the max restructure. I'm not fully sure if he had to sign off on that, because I think that still falls under what the Texans could do without getting his buy-off, but I could be wrong on that. And then the Cam Robinson signing, all of it makes sense to me. It is a lot of money to put into Cam Robinson, but I think depending on how the room fills out, it's worthwhile. If you're getting a starting level bridge tackle, and maybe they're looking at a guy next year, or maybe they want insurance in case Kelvin Banks doesn't fall, or whatever Josh Simmons, whatever tackle prospect they're anticipating at 25. Like I said, they're not entirely out of taking a tackle. They could still very well do it, but I think the odds are lower. So with that, we have to talk about the extension of Danielle Hunter, because I feel really good about where the offensive line is heading. I think that the draft, and I've said this before, I think the draft is going to provide a lot of clarity that people need to see that this Texans team is doing a proper offensive line rebuild. So I'm not worried about it right now. If the draft passes and certain things don't happen, sure, write me down as someone who's a little worried about this offensive line. But I'm not gonna do that right now. Okay. But Danielle Hunter extended a lot of money. It's like a 34, I want to say $34.5 million APY. It makes him the second highest paid defensive end in the NFL. If you doubt that that's what he deserves, his stats and performance and what he is to this Texans team put him in the same ballpark as a Max Crosby, as a Trey Hendrickson, as guys that are vying for contracts, if you will, or have gotten those contracts and are, like a Myles Garrett type. He's at that level. So it makes sense to get him for another year, give Will Anderson Jr. that mentorship. And Will Anderson Jr. is already a culture setter, right? So, I don't have to tell you that Danielle Hunter being here probably is more for his skill playing the other side than it is mentoring Will Anderson Jr. at this point. But it is a huge positive that Will Anderson Jr. is going to get that mentorship. And it also should give you a fair warning of what it's going to look like when it comes time to re-sign him, and why the Texans moved on from Laramie Tunsil, why they've been making moves that have offloaded a lot of money off the books, because that money is going to be needed for guys like Will Anderson Jr. and C.J. Stroud. So all in all, I like the move. I like getting an extra year out of Danielle Hunter. So that's, I think, 2 years left. But it's weird they're saying that the second they're saying like this year he gets paid a certain amount and then $55 million split over the next 2 years. And I spoke to this with the Derek Stingley extension. The Texans aren't going to view it as the number that everyone's talking about because the new money creates a certain APY and it technically makes Danielle Hunter the second highest paid. But the Texans will factor the money that they're paying him this year and average it out across the duration of the contract. So it's probably actually less money. And then I think I saw the Texans cap say that the cap savings is somewhere around $7 million with this extension. So even though it is a lot of money to hand out to the Texans, we'll see some immediate cap savings. And so I'm all for that. I think that that's intelligent given that the Texans could probably still make another move. I don't think they're looking for another starting level player in free agency. I think we've pretty much seen it, and we'll look forward to what they're going to do in the draft. That's why I don't get this thought process from people saying like, oh, well, a rookie starting. It's like, yeah, rookies do that sometimes, dude. I don't get it. Like with this whole like, you draft a guy like for guard for the Texans, they're going to have to draft a starting level guard. Like that's just what it's going to be. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't really get the thought process, but maybe I'm missing something. But that's been it for this 10-minute Texans Talk. Thanks for tuning in. I'm James Roy. You can find me at James Roy NFL, wherever you get your social media. On Instagram, if you want to have that friend in the group chat that tells you everything that's going on with your favorite team. My broadcast channel is a place where I try and create that, so make sure you're tuned into there. I also put you in the loop on some giveaways on Instagram. I'm doing a giveaway right now for a nice little Texans hoodie. One of those, it's 47, it's like shortstop with a big H, the new H logo on it. Looks pretty sick. So make sure you get in on that. As always, stay classy, Houston, and vamos Texans.